Day is the day in which we remember and honor the countless veterans who have served the United States throughout the country's history, specifically those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Today, as we continue to face a global pandemic, I want to remind everyone that though we are facing scary and unprecedented times, it is those soldiers who sacrificed their lives that will never see their homes again, hug their family or friends, or enjoy the freedoms we have today. So while you are home with your loved ones, remember those who gave their life to be in your shoes. Honor their memory and sacrifice. Be kind to one another. Give thanks to all those who do for us, but especially our veterans who are no longer with us. In the words of John McCrae, we are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt the dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved. Now we lie in Flanders fields because they have died. Thank you to all the brave men and women memorialized today and always. I'd like to introduce Commander Alan Brown from our Jamesburg American Legion.
Thank you, Mayor LaWanda. Every crisis has new heroes. During the 9/11 attacks, they were the first responders running into burning and crumbling buildings as others ran out. Now, during the coronavirus pandemic, the most visible heroes are the healthcare professionals who are saving others and risking their own lives while doing so. These heroes have much in common with the people that we honor today, America's fallen veterans. They are men and women who have sacrificed their lives so others could live. They are both elite and ordinary. They are elite in a sense of character, giving their lives so others could live is the ultimate definition of selflessness. They are ordinary in the fact that they represent the diverse fabric of our country. They are rich and poor, male and female. They come from every ethnicity and background. In short, they look a lot like us. As we celebrate the selfless and untiring performances of the healthcare workers during the COVID-19 pandemic, it brings to mind the military medics, doctors, and nurses who sacrificed their lives while treating others on the battlefield. One such hero was Pharmacist Mate 3rd Class Jack Williams. The Navy Reserve Corpsman was only 25 years old when he landed on Iwo Jima 75 years ago. On March the 3rd, 1945, James Naughton, a Marine in Williams' unit, was wounded by a grenade. While under intense enemy fire, Williams dragged Naughton to a shallow depression and treated his wounds. Williams used his own body as a screen and was shot 4 more times. Yet he continued. After he treated Naughton, Williams dressed his own wounds. He then proceeded to treat another Marine despite his own immense pain. While heading to the rear, he was hit by a sniper's bullet and killed. For his actions, Petty Officer Williams was awarded the Medal of Honor. We also remember Army veterans like Lieutenant Sharon Lane. According to her biographer, Philip Bigler, Lieutenant Lane threw herself into her work as a nurse. While serving in Colorado, she requested a transfer to Vietnam. There, at least, you are busy 12 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, she said in a 1968 letter to her parents. Her decision was obvious, even as she treated enemy Viet Cong soldiers who would return the favor by kicking, cursing, and spitting at their American captors. In the early morning of June 8, 1969, Sharon's tour of duty ended. A Soviet-built rocket struck the hospital. Lieutenant Sharon A. Lane was killed in action at age 25. If she were still here, her skills as a nurse might still be benefiting us during the current crisis. But not all the heroes working during the COVID-19 pandemic are in the healthcare industry. Grocers, first responders, delivery workers, and drive-through restaurant employees are just a few of the many people who we rely on to provide vital services for society while risking their own safety. The military has also heroes in every occupation field. Truck drivers, cooks, and administrative clerks have all paid the ultimate price. At sea, on land, or in the air, military service requires great risk. Roy Knight Jr. was a pilot in the U.S. Air Force. On May 19, 1967, he was shot down while attacking a target on the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Laos. He was posthumously promoted to colonel. Last year, a joint team from the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency discovered and later identified Colonel Knight's remains. When his remains arrived at Dulles Love Field, a crowd had gathered to witness a dignified transfer of the flag-draped casket from the Southwest Airlines jet into the receptive arms of the Military Honor Guard. One observer reported that the entire crowd fell silent. The Southwest flight was piloted by another Air Force veteran, Colonel Knight's son, Brian. Brian Knight was only 5 years old when he said goodbye to his father, as the elder Knight left for Vietnam. This is yet another legacy that those heroes leave behind. A legacy that includes their sons, daughters, grieving parents, grandparents, and friends. Their heroic acts are sometimes performed to protect those with whom they serve. Corporal Jason Dunham was a squad leader with the 3rd Battalion, 7th Marine in Iraq. On April 14, 2004, his squad approached Toyota Land Cruiser. After his squad discovered AK-47s in the vehicle, the enemy insurgent exited and engaged in hand-to-hand fighting with the unit. The driver dropped a grenade. To save his fellow Marines, Corporal Dunham made the ultimate sacrifice. He threw himself on the grenade and tried to use his helmet to shield the blast. Severely wounded by the grenade's fragments, Colonel Durham was taken off life support 8 days later. Colonel Durham died so other Marines could live. He too was awarded the Medal of Honor for his gallantry. Approximately 1 million men and women of the U.S. military have lost their lives in defense of our nation since the founding of our great republic. Not all have died from enemy fire. Some have died from diseases that have too often festered around war zones. Oftentimes, deaths from disease and accidents outnumbered casualties caused by enemy weapons. During the Spanish-American War, 60 soldiers of the 24th Infantry Regiment volunteered to serve as nurses. 36 of them would later die of yellow fever or malaria. A generation later, the flu would kill 16,000 U.S. soldiers in France during World War I. Another 30,000 Americans servicemen died in stateside camps. These men and women could have isolated safely in their homes, but they knew that they had an important job to do, a mission to accomplish. They were all on a mission to serve. Even when the enemy is an invisible virus or a microscopic germ, the sacrifice made are just as meaningful. The U.S. military has already lost servicemen to COVID-19. This Memorial Day, as we continue to honor those who fell for us in battle, let's all pause to remember those who have also sacrificed their lives while serving others. Just a common soldier. He was getting old and paunchy, and his hair was falling fast. And he sat around the Legion telling stories of the past, of a war that he had fought in and deeds that he had done. In his exploits with his buddies, they were heroes, every one. And though sometimes to his neighbors his tales became a joke, and all his Legion buddies listened, for they knew where he spoke. But we'll hear his tales no longer, for old Bill has passed away, and the world's a little poorer, for a soldier died today. He will not be mourned by many, just as children and his wife, for he lived an ordinary and quiet, uneventful life. Held a job and raised a family, quietly going on his way. And the world won't note his passing, though a soldier died today. If we cannot do him honor while he's here and hear the praise, then at least let's give him homage at the ending of his days. Perhaps it's just a simple headline in a paper that would say, "Our country is in mourning, a soldier died today." I was born on the 4th of July, 1776, and the Declaration of Independence is my birth certificate. I am 350 million living souls and the ghosts of millions who have lived and died for me. I stood at Lexington and fired the shot heard round the world. I am George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Paul Revere, and Patrick Henry. I am Lee and Grant, Abe Lincoln and John Kennedy. I am General Pershing and General Eisenhower. I left my heroes dead in Flanders Field, on the islands of Corregidor, the slopes of Korea, and the steaming jungles of Vietnam. I am the first responder who rushed the World Trade Center, the brave civilians who fought terrorism in the skies over New York, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. I am also the Navy SEALs who eliminated the face of terrorism in Pakistan. Yes, I am the nation, and these are the things that I am. I was conceived in freedom, and God willing, in freedom I will spend the rest of my days. May I possess all the integrity, moral character, courage, and strength to keep myself unshackled, to remain a citadel of freedom and a beacon of hope for the world to see. May we all here and now reaffirm our undying allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And may God bless you, your families, and may God bless America.